Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Strap in and strap on.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit content. It's all vibes and no facts.
Prepare to be spoiled.
Wait, no, these are spoiler-free episodes.
We might still spoil you.
Halden slowly claps as he's walking down and he sits. Violet has to breathe through seeing him.
What really got me in this is where I felt bad for Xaden. She takes a moment, assesses him objectively. He is fucking gorgeous.
She does.
She's like, he's a couple inches shorter than Arik. Arik is more or less Xaden's height.
And talks about how beautiful he is.
And then she's like, his features are chiseled like they're from marble. He is as glorious as you could assume him to be. His perfect skin, his clothes fit just right. He is just a fucking showstopper. And then she's like, Xaden's also a showstopper. And you're like, if you're Xaden in this and you're used to being the sexiest dude ever, having somebody where your girlfriend can even look at him and just go, holy fuck, that's gotta be hurtful as fuck.
One tiny detail, Halden is a twin.
Halden is a twin. Well, not anymore.
Yep, not anymore. He lost his brother, but he doesn't know that it was to Xaden. Violet calls him beautiful, short, and beautiful eyes.
She doesn't even say short. He's a few inches shorter than she remembered.
Oh my gosh. And then there's this note that we talked about just a little bit in the moment because I thought I understood what was going on. She says he has beautiful eyes which wander. I took that to mean as she's sitting down, he's just staring at her chest or something like that.
I thought she meant he had a floater, you know, like lazy eye.
You did not think that.
No,
what you ended
hilarious.
up saying when we found out that he cheated, I am in shock. We're in the car driving and I'm like, we have to pause. I have my...
We're going to dinner and the roads are icy and shitty. You are losing your mind over something she had already told us. And I'm like, what the hell did you think wandering eye meant? You're like, he was staring at her tits. And I'm like, what?
If I told you somebody had wandering eyes, what do you assume?
Adri.
You assume
I knew what this meant. My father had a wandering eye.
I thought he did titties all the time.
I think he did, but they were usually attached to a woman who wasn't his wife. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, you weren't surprised at all to find out he was cheating. You were just like, yeah, that sounds about right. I'm like, what? This is news to me.
Maybe it isn't as well understood as
No,
I thought
it definitely is. As soon as you pointed it out, I'm like, yep, that's a phrase. That makes sense.
I was going to say, because I know I heard this about my dad a lot.
And he was having an affair with a professor.
First of all, let's not say he was having an affair with her. We don't know if there's a real relationship.
It sounds like they were.
Hey, I got an A on the test. Why don't you sit on this D?
Just giving you a face.
Give me something for that. That was pretty good. I came up with that while I was talking.
Yeah, it sounds like you set yourself up also. The whole thing.
I didn't feel it at all until that moment.
Violet walked in on them.
Yeah. She said she had auburn hair. I have a question. Is auburn the same as red hair then?
It's like a brown redhead.
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
No. You're such an ass. Like brown.
Like Blake Griffin, the basketball player.
Auburn is like someone with brown hair, but it looks reddish. Not a ginger, but also not a brunette.
This is confusing as fuck, but I believe you. Okay, so he has a thing for redheads, is what she says. And this person fell into that, is I guess my question.
Yes, and then the girl who was guarding him also is a ginger.
This person would guard.
Yep. Oh, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. I got lost on this. I think I went back a few times and then I just gave up. Halden has a letter that he opened from Viscount Takaris to Violet about a jewel from the Queen, and it's a lesser magic amplifier, and Halden offered to change the course of Grady going to the north to get this jewel thing. Why would Halden do this for her?
Viscount Takaris has brokered a deal with the king of a neighboring country, one of the Isle Kingdoms, I believe, a jewel that is important to a portion of Poramil. that was taken over. What I believe to be the flyer school that was overrun in the second book that we discuss.
Yeah, Zolia.
Sure. I believe that was the school that housed the jewel that amplified lesser magic. Viscount brokered a deal between the queen and this king that if Violet went and got this jewel, this king would have an audience with Violet.
Why does she need to talk to the king?
Because they're going into their territory looking for these dragons. They're on a mission to raise wards everywhere and try to eliminate the venin. So they make friends with everybody.
Oh, Takaris would know that they're going to these locations.
Mm-hmm. It's a joint venture between Pormeal and Navarre. Right now, they have like a reciprocity between the two. So
there's so much politics in this book right now.
It is honestly so refreshing.
It is a you thing, isn't it?
I really like it. The only deal is they're not going to go into the venin-infested barren lands of their own country to dig this bad boy out. Because the odds are the venin show up and murder whoever tries to pick up this gem, right?
Yep.
Halden wants to endear himself to Violet and also recognizes that they need to build alliances with these other kingdoms. The only way to do that is to listen to Violet in this scenario.
I thought he was just trying to get on Violet's good side.
I think both things are true.
Because he now feels bad and he says something about, I haven't apologized to you yet.
He's recognizing that he's going to be the king of a country with a citizen who is Violet Sorrengail, happens to be the most powerful rider to have ever existed. Let's make friends with Violet, I think is what's happening.
I would say that's fair.
And if they end up bumping uglies, it's just a fringe benefit, I guess.
Yeah, Halden seems into that because he says he misses her, says he knows a rider's first love is their dragon. He apologized.
Great hint.
I got some of these details backwards. I thought he apologized to Violet, and you very quickly corrected me. You were just like, oh, no, he asked her out to dinner.
As
an apology. Attempts to touch her.
Move her hair, the errant strands of hair, out of her face.
Then what happens?
Whose fucking hair is that bad boy? That's Xaden's hair. Don't fuck around. And he found out. Xaden goes, booey! Punches him in the goddamn belly with shadows. Doesn't kill him, but knocks the fucking wind out of him. And Xaden comes up. This is my favorite Xaden line so far is, oopsie, basically. I'm not quoting it exactly, but it's like, oops, sorry, I was trying to defend a first year, and I guess you were in the way.
But in the next breath, he admits he can hear everything.
Yeah, 1,000%. He's like, I got 3 little things that you really need to know. Number 1, because of that shadow that your body creates, I can hear everything. The second thing you need to know is, I can't remember. The third thing is, I'll fuck you up if you touch Violet. That's basically what he says.
I think the second one is Xaden isn't the boss of her.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. He's like, I have not now, nor have I ever attempted or been in control of Violet Sorrengail. And the third thing is, I will fucking kill you if you fuck around. And I think that was super rad.
Was he even awake for most of this yet?
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't knocked out. He just had the wind knocked out of him.
And Violet was upset.
Yeah, which I can see you feeling similarly in that situation.
I think in the moment, I 100% would.
Like if your boss came up and was like, oh, let me get this hair out of your face, and I just, boom, out of nowhere, fucking punched him in the stomach, you'd be like, what the fuck? This is a bit of an overreaction, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, but he was being an asshole, and I can.
I will say we have been in this situation, not with a boss, clarifying that, and I did not like it. But now looking back, everything turned out to be fine.
Oh,
and it's better.
I was going to go to jail.
Yeah. Similar to Violet, she's like, oh my God, he's going to be venin.
Yeah, and I'm sure at the time you were worried I would become venin.
Chapter 18, Halden's guard is his lover. Halden's still alive. Xaden apologizes. Oh, we kind of jumped into chapter 18.
Yeah, we did.
But says he heard everything. Aimser is the answer. Rhea asks if Xaden knew. What did Rhea ask him that about?
Did Xaden know that Halden and Violet had history?
I don't think...
Violet didn't say a goddamn word to anybody. She's like, it never came up organically.
Never came up.
I'm like, what the fuck? You're as bad as he is. And after you gave him shit for the... Like, she knew that Halden was floating around here is the funniest part to me.
She knew for days.
She did the exact same thing Xaden did. The only thing that might make this funnier is if Halden comes strolling up to Xaden's room looking for Violet, just hanging brain. It'd be so funny. And he's just got like a 15-inch cock, just knee slapper, right?
Do you think that's what's going to seduce Violet? No.
I don't think Xaden was seduced by Cat.
He's seduced by tits.
No, he's seduced by her kind of non-committal attitude in the first book.
I just don't think...
And then her silver hair. Now, if Cat has shown up and dyed her hair silver and then been like a little off-putting and kind of insulting to him and not afraid, he probably would have been seduced.
Okay, with that in mind, then Halden shows up to Xaden's door dressed in all black.
Except for a little cutout where he can run his monster hog through it.
Okay, we're done with this little imagery. Nope, we're moving on. Pushing you forward.
He turns the corner a little too fast and it hits somebody in the stomach. It knocks the wind out of him. He's like, I wield a shadow of my own.
And Xaden's like, you're still short.
Yeah. He's like, well, other than when I'm standing on my cock. No?
You're done. You're done.
I'm just saying,
You're
I
done.
don't think we should insult this man because he isn't short. He is like at least 6 feet tall.
We can't insult this man?
Well,
he cheated on Violet.
We don't insult him for his height. That's just wrong. I'm out here standing up for
I
my
think that's fine, but it would make sense that...
You call this man a short king? He's not a tall king.
No.
King is he?
No.
Oh, I get it. He's a Navarian king.
Oh my God. I don't like how Xaden is feeling right now. It makes me sad.
Also don't like how he's feeling, but I like that he's feeling it. It's a little recompense for some of his bullshit, no?
Yeah. But you still haven't come up with a good analogy of Halden showing up to her door in any way that's equivalent.
I kind of did.
Equivalent to what Cat did.
It was meant to make... So what Cat did was not meant to seduce Xaden. It was meant to make Violet feel insecure. If Halden knocked on the door and he's got a monstrous hog, I don't care how awesome you think you are. I have far more confidence than I've ever earned in life. If a dude came up and knocked on our door and they've got a 15-inch penis, I will instantly feel threatened.
Why am I letting you defend this right now?
I don't know, but I'm not going to lie. I'm happy you are. If you have a 15-inch hog, is it useful? No. Is it still threatening? Yes, because we're just animals and I'm scared.
What I think is the equivalent to what Cat did is Halden going on this little adventure and just being a nice guy.
No, absolutely not. Violet is not overly attracted to nice guys.
I'm not saying she is. Xaden also isn't attracted to Cat, but Xaden's going to be threatened by this.
He's not threatened by nice guys. Otherwise, he would be threatened by Riddick. He would be threatened by Sawyer. He'd be threatened by all these people.
He's threatened by Dane.
Because she used to have some affection for Dane.
And I guess he never came out and said it, the fact that Dane won't drain her.
I don't know if that means what you think it means.
It means he's not a venin and tempted to take her life from her.
That's true. I thought you meant he couldn't make her squirt.
Ryan.
Yeah, you can cut that too. That was too far for me. I said it and I got a little grossed out.
Back on task.
Yeah.
Violet thinks Xaden being venin is why he lost control in that moment.
Disagree. Hard disagree, Violet.
You think he would have done this in book 1?
Yep. I think he would do it in book 1, book 2. He's doing it in book 3, and I bet by the time book 5 rolls around, he...
Reasons I know book 1 Xaden wouldn't is because Violet was pretty injured by the time he was ready to even take a step forward during threshing.
Their intention wasn't to fuck Violet. He can see their intentions.
He didn't know.
He saw Halden, and Halden is a dude who could potentially do it. You don't think that that's a
factor? I think maybe book
Violet's intention, and that's what made him do it.
No. Violet has no intention of any of that.
Violet recognizing how fucking good looking he was.
Her shields are too good. They get the book open. There is history of the Second Crovelish Uprising. There's a letter to Violet. Her dad tells her to ride for Corden. I thought that meant her dad is writing a letter to his scribe daughter. All right, I know you're a scribe, but you need to go ride for this other country that I thought had...
Dragons? Dragons will get rid. He didn't say fly for.
You're right. I thought it was griffins. I thought it was Crovelish, that word.
Yes.
Fly for Corden?
Yes, they speak Crovelish, which Dane knows. He also points out she's never been good at it.
Where's Corden?
I think that's in the Isle Kingdoms.
Oh, no. Corden is at the very bottom of Poromil. Do you remember where Athbine is?
Athbine?
Yep.
Yes.
And you continue on a little bit farther, and there's Drathis, and even farther is Corden. It's all south.
And then he's like, you'll see a man in a yellow poncho. His name is Hank.
I do not understand that reference.
That was an old Dane cook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've heard about him. Also in this letter, as you had just said, Dane is there for Crovelish. If you can't trust him... What was the option if you can't trust Dane? You're screwed?
You still go. Use your broken-ass Crovelish and try to communicate.
And go to Deverelli. Is that one of the little isles?
I don't know.
Me either.
We haven't found out yet.
Just go to Deverelli. That's all we need to know. Find a merchant and give her the rarest item you have.
A specific merchant. Also, you don't just find some random merchant.
A very specific one, and only trust Mira.
You give her the rarest thing you can because whatever you give her needs to be considered an equal exchange for what she's going to give you.
And what is she going to give them? The location of the den?
Perhaps.
That's way too easy, I think.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not.
A map.
Okay, a map, because all we have right now are crude drawings by Grady.
Grady always sounds like a cat name to me. Won't be a problem for long.
It's also during this that we find out that there's no magic beyond the continent. Maybe that's information we've already been told. First I'm hearing or paying attention to it. Tairn is surprised that the Irids left the continent because of that. Xaden shows up, head down, and asks if she loved him.
This is a moment I actually feel bad for Xaden.
Xaden looks feral and he's jealous. I was just thinking he's in his little sparring pit because that's where he's been hiding. He's just sitting in the center of this pit, just keeping himself from the world, head down, and he's stuck in his thoughts, and he's just reeling over this, and he can't get out of it, and he's finally like, fuck it, I gotta go talk to her. And he asks her.
She is not direct in any way.
Because she knew the answer was yes, she did love Halden at the time.
Not just say that.
She didn't want to hurt him. Look how hurt he was. He wouldn't even look at her.
Do you think he was hurt because she said yes, or do you think he was more hurt by the fact that it took him 20 goddamn minutes to get that bit of honesty out of her?
I think he was probably hurt because he didn't even know her ex was in the area, and he's known the prince has been here for a few days.
Also, imagine the satisfaction he now has knowing that he killed the other one.
True. But in this moment, she's like, are you jealous? And he's like, yeah, I'm fucking jealous. I'm jealous of the leathers touching you, your sheets, the knives, all of it. And he brings up the throne scene. And again, I think he was just in his head replaying everything. And he's just like, God damn, that throne scene was so good. And I have this note of pull yourself together, Xaden.
Oh my God, no. This is the moment where we can just let Xaden feel sad and be sad with him.
It is.
It's a tough moment, but it's also a part of maturity. Like,
but he's kind of
really young, you want to be somebody's first or whatever, right? Their only. You get a little older and you're like, doesn't really matter who was there first. You don't get bonus points at the end of this whole deal for that.
I think there is some of that in him. He knows it's illogical that she has a first, and she calls it out. She's like, at that time, that's the best I've known was love. But I also understand that you see this soon-to-be king who actually feels like a king. And I don't think does Xaden have imposter syndrome right now?
No, I think Xaden sees his world falling apart. He's got everything he wanted now, but he can't actually touch it. It's all right there.
Wow, that's deep.
I don't know. Seems like that's what it is.
The emo side of you.
Yeah. I don't know why I did that.
Is poetic.
Yeah, he moans like that, though.
And then she does admit that she did love Halden. And I think she then compares it to Kat. Like, you were engaged to someone. You have exes. He's like, I never loved her.
Similarly, like, I never loved anybody before you. I never felt a deep level of attachment.
I think I thought that I loved my ex in the same way that Kat is describing, and I was also 18.
Oh, sure.
But I even think our love when we first got together is nothing compared to how much we love each other now.
Yeah, it grows.
And
I mean, in 20 years, you'll do some coke for me. I'm just... No, just a joke. Don't feel bad. That was low-hanging fruit, and I'm so sorry I jumped on that.
But it makes sense that Violet has grown and has a deeper love than she has ever experienced with Xaden. And I also really love that when she was confronting Halden, she talks about how much she loves Xaden. She's like, are you asking if I love him? Absolutely. Are you asking if we're together? No, we're not.
Yeah, she was very direct with Halden, period. But that does make me wonder what Xaden saw intention-wise.
Her being very direct, I think, turned Halden on.
Yeah.
I think he liked it.
And this makes some sense because prior to you and I, the thing that was fun was always the chase. You go for somebody who doesn't want you. And then when they do want you, you feel like you've won.
And now Halden wants her back.
Yeah.
And they're going on an awkward quest.
But she's bringing Xaden. It's not like it's just those two going off together.
Things are going to get tense. Violet and him have that conversation. They start kissing and smooching, and he starts using his shadows in this book. I even think in the same exact way that you called it forever ago. You're like, he could tie her up with his shadows, and that's what he does. He ties her hands up.
Lightly restraining her. It wouldn't be much of a shadow daddy if he didn't.
I don't think the last shadow daddy we read about actually used his shadows in the bedroom.
Didn't finish the series. It's gotta happen by the end.
Maybe. Xaden pulls himself away from her and he asks her, please distract me. So she grabs the book about her dad and starts talking about it.
That's not what he meant. That's not what he wanted to be distracted by. He's like, I'll just watch you do some stuff.
Yeah, because he's into edging.
Well, I mean, he could still yank it.
Ooh.
No?
No.
He just puts himself in a little shadow room. It's just his eyes exposed. He's peeping in a dark corner.
What he actually meant is what Violet did. He got distracted.
You just hear him. He forgets about the sounds.
It's fat.
He's spitting on his palms.
Oh.
Well, you want him to do it dry? Poor guy's going to start a fire.
It's at the end of this chapter that I thought about, would the cure for Xaden be he has to leave the continent? In the moment it made sense. The more I've thought about it, I don't think that makes sense. I think that any of the riders, dragons, or griffins and venin are removed from the continent. They're removed from the magic and all of them would die.
They need to find a source of magic, yes.
They have to. And I'm not able to connect the dots how they're going to leave the continent based off of that without the magic. Or at least for how long.
Again, I think they're going to find little pools of magic. I don't think there's enough there to, like, sustain a riot.
Like a hot springs of magic.
Oh, yeah, that's a better one. I was going to go for little Wi-Fi outposts. Your thing is way better.
I was thinking of something kind of natural.
Yeah.
Chapter 19, there's an excerpt where it says, flyers should keep their gem next to their heart or else it will be their downfall. There is a riot of 8. Halden got Mira to go with them. This is Grady's whole crew that he put together. They leave Andarna in Samara because Theophanie. Violet can only go 12 hours until she will feel pain from being away from Andarna. And that's where I made the connection that it makes sense that the riders would die from being gone too long from the dragons, just like Barlowe would die from not being able to channel.
Right.
Tairn doesn't listen to Grady, which I find entertaining. I think Grady tells him to hang back or do something. He's like, no, if I do what I want, I'm standing here.
Mm-hmm.
Wielding in the drained territory will draw the venin, and Mira thinks Grady is trying to fail the mission. I put this in there because Mira calls him out on this. I'm like, oh my God, that makes sense that Grady is trying to sabotage everything. But then Grady dies, and I don't think that's actually the case.
You think he was just inept?
That's what I'm landing on right now.
I'm on board. I don't think Grady was intentionally trying to sabotage the mission. I think Grady legitimately thought it was safe to keep it basic. I don't think he really cared about whether or not they succeeded either, to be honest. I think this was like fulfilling a task, you know? If your boss tells you to do something, you're not going to go above and beyond most of the time to do it. You're going to do exactly what you're told to do.
I think that's fair, yeah.
He's been around there long enough. It's a job, not a passion.
But the fact that Xaden and Violet were doing a better job putting a team together based off of skill.
They're young and passionate. Look at what the Gen Z kids are doing. They're out there doing things, changing up the world, and we millennials, for the most part, are tired enough now. We're like, well, we're not going to really do much, but we support you guys.
I was going to say, I feel like I just want to support Gen Z doing their thing. Like, you guys go.
That's where I'm at with it. I'm like, we've been arguing with Gen X and the boomers long enough. We're tired. They're still full of vigor.
What do you think of this whole scene with the officers going in the house looking for this gem?
I thought it was odd in a sense. So they broke up Scooby-Doo style, right? They're like, let's split up and find it. It's in a college. They're like, it's in this case.
No, it's in a house. It's in somebody's house.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's like a museum house.
It was the first Griffin Rider's house.
Yes.
You're right. So either way, it's in a house. You guys didn't need to split up to this degree. How long would it take you to sweep a large house? For something on display, I might add.
I think it was 4 people inside, 2 people outside, and 2 in the sky.
Okay.
And of those 2 in the sky, they were in the north. And I think there's a whole discussion about why the hell were you guys there?
That's the infantry. They weren't in the sky.
Okay.
They can't ride dragons. I don't know.
How did they get there?
No idea.
Yeah, there was like Yeah, there was some infantry person.
There were 2 infantrymen, one of which is one that Violet knows well. He was in one of the other books, I believe.
No.
The last book.
No, you're thinking of when she tried breaking out Sawyer and she used the guy that she chatted up and saved during RCS.
You're right. All right. Never mind. I was wrong.
I don't know how an infantryman got there because Grady made a whole point of why we can't bring the Griffins.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Doesn't even matter. Aura and Vi stay outside. Aura panics. She's on edge. Xaden pops out and she torches Grady and he dies. A sad, painful death.
Fiery, painful. What's weird is the fire only consumed his legs, correct?
Oh, I thought it was his entire body.
I thought so too, but she said the fire was boot high or something like that.
Maybe that's where it started.
Oh shit, yeah, maybe it was body and his boots weren't on fire. Everything but his lower leg.
And then she tries putting him out, and by the time I think she puts him out, he's already dead, and then the town's now on fire.
Yeah, it's a very flammable village.
Xaden did nothing. He didn't even try putting out Grady.
No, he is the one that put out Grady.
Why did
Initially, they were trying to use stuff so that they wouldn't wield, so it wouldn't attract the venin.
Okay, because yeah, my next question.
When it's not an option anymore. He's like, fuck it, puts him out, tries to put out the house. Everything's happening. The town's collapsing.
And then it was too late.
Yeah, Mira ends up saving him.
Mira saves him? How?
Structure's falling down and she creates a shield.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which is pretty rad. I thought the wards were just something for magic, but she also has the ability to create shields that affect physical objects.
Which makes her one of the most powerful ward people. Yes. Ward signets.
Yes, ward wielder.
And then they start running. They got to get to the center because that's where the dragons can make their landing.
Aura's gonna go first, and her dragon's coming to pick her up. Not to worry, she immediately gets her comeuppance.
She gets stabbed.
Skewers her right through that chest.
And also, technically, I think Mira went first because Mira's gone. She was having a hard time. They're like, get out of here. And then Aura's there.
So we can go.
Aura gets stabbed through the chest, and she's gone. I think Sigale starts going after the Wyvern in such a badass way. She, like, claws up its back and, like, shreds its wings.
Sigale hops on its back and rips its wings off. Right and left wings. It just lets it fall.
And as Sigale's doing that, Violet convinces Tairn, you got to take Xaden. Xaden wraps himself like a little cocoon around Violet with his shadows. And then they have this moment where Violet wants to wield, and she's like, but I'm a little scared with Xaden this close. And Tairn says, he's been closer.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not going to think about how he knows that. And she continues to wield and is a badass.
It was awesome.
They get to Bezgaeth. Oh, no. They make it back to Samara. Mira did get the stone, but it's cracked and hazy. And there is a note to the lightning wielder from
T.
From T.
She's got the same code Xaden does. They'll never break it.
It was so casual.
She's fucking cool. She's like, hey, I want you to come on your own volition. But don't be confused. I could literally come get you whenever I want.
She is badass.
She is so fucking cool.
So she knew they were going to be there. I started wondering, is it because of Xaden, Theophanie knows where they're at? Because he doesn't know how to block the venin.
I wonder if, because Violet can wield lightning, if she doesn't kind of smell that on her and she knows where she's at.
Every time she leaves the wards?
Well, remember, the lures and stuff are just imbued, and those attract the venin. All these things attract venin. Venin can smell power. The wards reduce their effectiveness, but I don't know if the wards reduce their ability to track things.
Okay. We have Violet and Xaden. They're the most powerful duo, and they go everywhere together.
Mm-hmm.
And they leave the wards, and they're like, that is smelly. We smell them already.
I think they smell him before they're even out of the wards.
No,
they know where he's at all the time.
No, this doesn't play out why she knew that she needed to go to the gem.
Oh, yeah, as far as that goes, I have no idea. She just knows shit.
Unless they're connected to Xaden, and he can't block them out.
I have an alternative theory for you.
Which is?
Navarre is still not being honest. King Towery is not being honest. What I think has happened is the venin are not all united. I think there are different factions of venin. I think T is a part of a competing faction with this other group. Why Violet will someday end up going to her for training. Violet may not become venin. T may just put Violet under her tutelage for even how to wield her lightning and whatever her second signet is. The deal might be, hey, these other venin are causing big fucking issues for you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
I had that moment of Violet being trained by her, but not being venin yet, or anything, or never turned.
At all.
But yet, you would always have this little voice in your ear telling you, you know what you could do?
Yeah, you could, but I think that would be cool.
Wait a minute, this is almost like an MLM. Why do the venin want more venin to pull power from the source? Wouldn't you want less venin?
The idea is you get enough numbers so you can take over larger areas. Why does anybody want anybody, right?
I just thought that you're kind of increasing your competition for magic.
I don't think those people are competition for her. I think she looks at it as though, yeah, well, I'll use them until they're no longer useful, and then I'll put them out of my misery.
Oh, yeah, like your little minions.
Yeah, who cares? You sacrifice them in the end. Clearly, life is not a big deal.
Okay.
But my other theory with this, why I'm saying King Towery may be on their side. They were holding these venin before, doing all of these experiments and whatnot. What if she endorsed this in some way? We know Jack Barlowe is one of hers because she was trying to bust Jack out of prison.
Wow, you're right.
Clearly, she wasn't super invested in doing it because she didn't just break the place down to nothing. And I know that, they're in the wards. It does not make them completely magicless. It just reduces their effectiveness of their magic. She was still able to distance wield while in that room. She could have dismantled that fucking door.
I wonder if she's also connected to Barlowe, and even though they're wiping Barlowe's memories, T is connected to Barlowe and hears everything that Violet's asking.
Perhaps. I also think maybe because when Violet got the letter, it was already opened. Whoever is in league with T is like, hey, this is where she needs to go next. And she's like, cool means you get to live. Because otherwise, there's no reason T hasn't just come and killed the prince and killed the king and killed everybody. She's a scary bitch. She's so cool.
Chapter 20. Violet is researching about Deverelli. There are no answers from Barlowe, and she studies the manuscript. Violet has an inkling about what her dad's hypothesis is, and she doesn't tell us.
I love that you wanted to know so badly. You kept going back. You're like, I keep missing this. we gotta go back.
I'm like, she's got something figured out. I gotta go back. I must have missed it. And you're like, she is hiding it from us too. I'm like, oh, Violet, stop.
We also do not get to know.
What is your inkling? What do you think her inkling is?
I have no idea.
Damn it.
I don't even remember what the hell she's got an inkling about. What does she say she has an inkling about?
About his hypothesis about the feather tail and how it's related to everything? Like the direction that things were going?
Oh, certain feather tails. Maybe there's a difference in the feather tails for each breed.
People keep wanting to experiment on Andarna. Maybe it's her blood.
Oh, perhaps. Maybe she draws something different from the source. That's what I wonder.
There's definitely something special about Andarna. I'm not convinced it's her when she changes her scales. I think it's something with her blood, and that's what impacts the flyer.
I think it's the way she interacts with magic.
Ooh, I like that.
Why her scales change colors. Tairn brings up a point, though, about her fire, for why it may have worked.
Why?
Your first fire is the hottest. That's what he says, anyway.
What's that song?
First cut is the deepest.
Baby, I know.
Yeah, I thought I knew that's where you were going to go with that because that's what I want.
I think that's where I went with it in the car, too, in the moment. I'm like, wait a minute, this reminds me.
Do you want to try to love again?
Then it cuts to, she meets up with Riddick. Riddick still wants to join on this quest. He is adamant, and we spoke on this in the very beginning. I love the advocacy that Riddick has for himself.
Yes.
Sawyer has his metal prosthetic leg, and he starts...
Metal now.
All metal.
One step closer to Iron Man.
He just needs, like, full armor.
Yeah, he's going to wear a whole gear suit. It's going to be rad.
Magneto. He's starting to join classes, which is great. I think this really shows us a little glimpse into his mental health, that he's feeling better about himself and that he does belong being a writer and that he doesn't need to go into retirement.
I agree. Also, retirement at 21 is a rough spot to start life.
As they are arguing or maybe picking on Riddick a little bit, he's holding an orange and he freezes the inside. How did this scene play out? How did she know that the inside was frozen and something worth checking?
The skin cracked while he was holding it. When liquids freeze, they expand. The orange is mostly liquid, so as it froze, it expanded, but the skin didn't obviously expand with it. It's like, wait, what the hell did you just do? How did you get that orange to grow from the inside? And he's like, I froze the inside. And she's like, what? And then he hands it to her and she peels it because the peel's not frozen. Sure as shit, the fruit, block of ice.
And my favorite part about all of this is this moment matches the level of insanity that you have come up with people's signets. She's like, so you could freeze somebody from the inside out. He's like, yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
And I hope we see this.
Me too. He's so fucking cool. And they're like, how did you do this? And he's like, because I'm fucking awesome. It reminds me of that Kanye moment where he's like, because my life is dope and I do dope shit. Like
that is what he was like. He's like, I am dedicated to this team and bad things happen when we are not together.
Yes.
It can't be it can't be Sawyer, so it must be me. Not you, not... What is the phrase?
Not Hermione, me. Ron, no.
Oh, no, not me, not Hermione, you.
There we go. That's what it was. Whatever. It's close enough. Is that from the same Harry Potter the big snake is in?
I don't know. They all blend together. Were they kids? Were they teens? Were they adults? Is the max I can differentiate between the movies.
Oh, that's fair. I was like, I think they started as kids.
He stands up for himself, and she's like, you know what? You're on board. You're right.
And how hard was it to just give Riddick what he needed the whole time?
Well, and at this point, Violet was going to demand her own team anyway. She knew that going into this meeting. The whole time she's walking down the hallway, she's like, I am going to get my own team, not whatever they do. And Riddick's like, I want to join your team. She's like, I don't know about that. He stands up for himself. She's like, you know what? You're right. Because of what you said at the beginning.
No. This is the thing. Why did he actually get to go? Because of the thing her dad said. Only take the people who you trust implicitly. After he said trust no one and then trust Mira, and then he's like, you must trust these people implicitly to be on your team. It's like, well, you're sending some mixed messages. I see why Violet seems decisive and indecisive simultaneously.
What is the name of the group of nobles?
Oh, it starts with an S. I can't remember what it's called now.
I never wrote it
It's like
down.
Sanctorum or something like that.
Serenium.
Sure. Perennium. Nope. That's a different thing.
Doesn't even matter. She's getting ready to go into the meeting with all of the nobles. Kat's cousin is there. I knew immediately. She's like, there's some man there with Kat. It's about time she's moved on. I'm like, well, that's incestuous because I'm pretty sure that's her cousin and we just haven't met him yet.
And he looks good.
He is, but
And he's charming and suave.
I already know Mira's going to fall for him on this quest.
But in the same way that everybody's relationships except Sawyer and Jasenia seems to go. She's cold to him like Violet was Xaden. Xaden is...
Jasenia's not cold to Sawyer.
No, that's what I said. Jasenia and Sawyer are the exception.
Oh, yeah,
to every other relationship in this. The women are kind of domineering and sort of angry, and the men are like kind of into it. I know.
Just need to look at you and you know exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah. It's me. They're
exactly like you.
All the men are me.
They go into the meeting and Violet is a badass bitch.
Are we going to ignore the interaction Mira has with this guy?
Oh, I think that happens later. Mira's not here yet. She's late.
All right, fair enough.
I didn't even write down anything that Violet said. She just is demanding.
They said, you're going to do this. And she said, the fuck I am. I'm doing it my way. We tried it your way. He's dead. She's dead. They sucked. They were ineffectual. Look at us go. He's like, so, limp dicks, now it's going Violet's way. And they're like, okay, understood. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
They all listened.
Yeah.
I love it. I wish that I had that level of confidence. I would get fired or kicked, disowned.
Yeah, I don't think you get kicked. That'd be weird.
Kicked out.
Boss to do. Stop
I might kicked out.
Just stop it. And then he kicks you a little bit. Quit it.
Get disowned from my family with this level of energy. I don't have any scenario where I need to stand up for myself.
I was going to say, nobody fights you. You are the domineering force in all the families you're connected to. And my family's a little afraid. Your family's a little afraid. I'm a little afraid. The kids, our daughter's the only person who stands up and is like, fuck you. And you're like, excuse me. And you guys are just the same little people. Oh my God, I miss my kids. Sorry.
Violet demands that she needs to choose her squad. She puts Markham in his place as he wants to search Erasia. She's like, fuck you. You're not in charge of me. And then Atos, generally, does whatever the hell you want to call him. I'm going to call him Atos. Atos is like, well, I'm in charge of you, and this is how things are going to be done. And she's like, nope, I speak for the Empyrean.
Okay, give me 1 second here. This moment she did reminded me of that scene from The Blacklist.
I never saw it. Tell me.
Raymond Reddington is like, I will not be talked down to by some ineffectual lip-dick debutante. Da-da-da. He goes on this whole thing.
That is exactly what that scene is. I've seen that clip.
Fucking lizard man. I didn't watch the show, but I've seen this particular clip and I'm like, yes.
Violet's just like, I'm the fucking lightning wielder.
Yeah. She's like, I speak for the lizards. She's a mix of Raymond Reddington and the Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
Why do I know his name? I didn't watch this show.
But you can't remember the names of characters that we have been talking about since October.
I don't speak Scottish Gaelic.
Halden is impressed. Xaden is impressed. He's just leaning back in his chair, just loving this.
Everybody's a little horny.
Well, I think some people are a little scared too.
Fear boners.
Their hair is just standing on end a little bit the more they disagree with her. I do like that she didn't threaten them.
She didn't need to.
She didn't need to, but my thought when listening is scaring them into it. I'm like, no. That would be a Varish thing to do.
It's a page out of Roosevelt's book.
Which is?
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch me get that wrong. Maybe it wasn't Roosevelt. Maybe that was Churchill. I'm pretty sure that was Roosevelt.
Violet says who she wants on her team. There is a Duchess, I think, that says this is not a good idea to be taking these people when Xaden doesn't have an heir, unless he wants to take one of my daughter's proposals. And Violet, like, I think mind vibes Xaden, like, what the hell is this about? He's like, oh, there are many proposals. Not to worry. There's so many. It's nothing to worry about.
Throwing lady business at this guy. The way it should have been through the other 2 books, to be fair. This man needs Heaton to help him out because he's drowning in punani.
It is very non-toxic of Xaden to not bring this up when he was very jealous.
Wait, what?
When he was jealous of Halden,
okay,
and they're having this moment, he doesn't bring up all these proposals.
That would be a wild thing for him to do.
It would be very toxic. That's why I said he's not being toxic.
It would also be really dumb. You can start small fires. You don't want to light the house on fire.
Maybe I was thinking preemptively of you saying, maybe he should have told Violet about this sooner. And in my head, I already was thinking ahead of there was no good time. And the time when they were fighting would have been terrible.
Yeah, I think you could even assume that people are pretty much throwing their kids at you if you're in his situation right now. Violet should assume this.
I think that's
fair.
Should
he have assumed that Violet was, dating the prince of the country? Probably not, but whatever.
At the end of this whole thing, she gets her way. Just a badass. And she is impressed that Riddick didn't make any remarks. And he's like, I kept the inside thoughts inside.
He did so good.
Now is your Mira scene.
Now Mira walks up to this guy. And there he is, just being kind of sexy. And she's like, you must be so-and-so. And he's like, yeah, that's me. And then he's kind of putting the moves on her a little bit. He's clearly a womanizer, right? Like, he knows what he's up to. And he's like, yeah, she's into me. And then she nails him in the ball sack. And he's like, you must be Mira Sorengale.
As he's like struggling.
Her reputation also precedes you, gorgeous. Keeps being charming through the pain.
And after she does that, she turns to Violet and calls her out on the absurdity of what squad she threw together. Who are these people? This is insane. And Tairn's like, yes, thank you. I agree.
Finally an adult. Holy fuck.
And that is the end of chapter 20.
Yeah, it is. Do you remember Aric's real name?
Cam.
You do? Wow. I remembered it just now, and I was so proud of myself, and now I feel just like a regular person again.
I was surprised that she didn't put Cam on her team and made up some excuse, but he has no signet. No.
No, this is a terrible idea. And also, she's like, if I'm taking the other prince with me and things go tits up, who's going to rule this country? At least if Cam gets there, he's going to be a fair ruler.
Is Jacinia going with her?
I don't know. I hope not. That seems dangerous. But also, it would be cool because then she could write down all the cool shit Sawyer's going to do.
No, she's going to have to rely on Riddick to retell what happened.
It'll all be cock-based. If Riddick is me like I think he is, this is a good set of chapters. We need to get 5 more in.
I love you.
I love you.
You are my bestie.
You are my bestie. I adore you.
I adore you, love.
You are so cute.
It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Shadow Daddy's Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.